What's up YouTube, Little Candy Gamer here with another tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be doing something a little different. Firstly I wanted to talk a little bit about choosing colours and blending. To do this I made a colour swatch of all the colours I plan on using, just to check that they blend nicely and complement each other. I'm not going to go too into depth about colour choosing because I think that could be an entire video all by itself. Next I strap the face sketch onto my light board. Then I tape the Strathmore paper over the top of it. Next I start my line art. In the line art I use a lot of random pretty colours that I like. There isn't a real method to choosing the colours apart from what I really dislike or what I think will look good. When I put the colours down I need to think a little bit about it. I need to think about where to place them, where the darkest values are in the drawing. I'll do the darkest colour. I need to think about the light sources when I do this. I'm not going to explain too much about how I think about light sources because again I feel like that's an entire other video that I can make. After that I turn the light box on and off, and that's just to check I didn't miss any lines in the line art. This is important to do because you don't want to be doing the drawing and suddenly realise that you can't colour in a section because there isn't a line enclosing that area. Onto the colouring now. First of all I use a cotton tip with a little bit of solvent on it. Dabbing the excess off onto a cloth, I place the solvent down where I plan on doing the darkest areas. This just helps me lay down the pigment onto the paper faster and also to achieve a nice smooth solid colour. I don't always do this for all of the colours, but I usually do for the darkest value in the piece. In this case the darkest value is called Indigo Blue and the next darkest that I layer on top of it is called Blue Violet. I blend the Blue Violet into Imperial Purple, and when I blend I go from dark to light. May not look like it, but I'm using tiny little circles to avoid getting that back and forth stop-start pencil pattern in the drawing. The next colour I used was called Mulberry, and I blended this into the pale vermilion or orange like a sunset. I usually learn something when I choose a particular colour scheme, and the biggest thing I learned while colouring this piece was that the orange and yellow were kind of hard to blend together. This was because they were both translucent colours, and to combat this problem after the first couple of times of having difficulty on the tail and particularly on the legs, I blended yellow into Salmon Pink and orange, which Salmon Pink had more of an opaque and creamy consistency. So that really helped. I tried to create small little ledges on the wings as well. This was just to give the wings some more depth and the bone on the edge of the wing more form. It was also important to add enough shading on the back of the shoulder to define the arm, so there's definite arm and shoulder being separated from the neck area. When I was colouring the stomach, I used a salmon pink and a little bit of solvent to blend that area. And on the wings I just laid down the dark solvent again first and repeated the process like I did on the tail. I just went going from dark to light using little circles. Very slowly, I took my time, and I used a lot of the salmon pink on the wing as well. Creating that little ledge there, which I wanted the light reflecting off of. So there I am using the salmon pink and then the yellow or sunburst orange. I really took my time in this area as well because you really want to get those small details in. I really wanted to create a definite ridge on the shoulder so that you could see a defined shoulder and not just the arm blending into the neck area. On the back of the neck I used the dark shadow, but on the top of the head I realised that the light source must have been hitting the top of his head, shining down from the top left corner. So I left this area light. Mostly on the face as well I used salmon pink and blended the yellow, orange and Creme for the lightest areas that there were. I really took my time on the face and made sure to really shade in the small details such as the eyebrows, forehead wrinkles, snout, and the eyes. Inside the eyeball as well. It's important to do some grey shading under where the eyelid could be covering the light source from the top of the head. I went in and coloured in the claws grey, away from the light source. In this instance, it was underneath them, and I shaded them white on top to make the white brighter. So just really taking note of where those light sources were coming from, I shaded under the arms the darker colour and the lightest colour on the top. I wanted his little antennas to appear more vibrant, so I used the brightest, darkest colours on them at the bottom, and I blended them into the lightest colours on the top. Continuing the galaxy, I went in and laid in my solvent in those areas, and then the darkest colours first. I used light circles, layering them up gradually, so that the colours were nice and blended. I created the wispy, cloud-like shapes that I talked about in my galaxy tutorial. I really like these colours for galaxies and have used them before. I really like the effect that they have. I find that they're really quite complementary to each other. Doing these galaxies is a bit of a process. It's not something quick. For a little bit of interest too, I went and outlined around the edges of the wings with Peacock Blue. That just created an element of interest and a real definition from where the galaxy started and the tail stopped. On the hyper beam coming out of Dragonite's mouth, I layered process red, salmon pink, orange and white with Peacock Blue around the edge for the aura. Lastly, I add the stars, taking my time with the bigger stars that look like a big cross. It's really important to take your time with these stars, and just added in any extra highlights on the piece with the paint pen as well. So on his leg, on his arm, on the edge of the wing, on the tip of the antennae, and on the top of his eyebrow and the top of his horn, I went in and just added a little bit of paint from the paint pen, and I just smudged it with my finger a little bit because I didn't want a really harsh white line in those areas. If you need to, you can go in with a white pencil first, which is what I like to do, and just lay out where the star will go before committing paint pen to the paper. I also added some glitter into the stars, which is like a clear glitter gel pen that I have. And this just makes the piece shiny. that's all I really had to say about blending for now. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. If you like this video, please drop a like, a subscribe, and make sure you tell me any feedback, hopefully kindly, in the comments. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time on Little Candy Gamer.